Hello, welcome back to my channel and what apparently is going to be a declutter series. Today I have all of my powders. Oh, by the way, I'm Caitlin and I'm doing a no buy year. Not only am I not buying anything this year, but I really just want to not necessarily downsize my makeup, but I want to purge the stuff that I'm not using, because why keep it around if it's just going to sit in a drawer and I'm not going to use it. Let's just get into it. These are all of my powders for the face. I have some powder foundations, some finishing powders, setting powders. I have a couple brightening powders. So the first thing that I'm going to do is sort of organize them based on the type that they are. Okay, so I sort of have them organized. Right in the center here are all of the powders that are translucent setting powders. These are brightening setting powders. Over here are colored powders, or powder foundations, but the way that I would use them is to set my makeup, but also to provide a little bit more coverage. Over here are all the straight up powder foundations, what I would strictly use as a powder foundation. And then back here are all of the finishing powders, so like the last step of your makeup. So first I'm going to just go through the translucent setting powders. So I have the House Labs that I know for sure that I'm going to keep because it's fairly new, and the Glossier Wowder. I guess it's technically a shade. It's G11, G12, but I use it as if it's a translucent setting powder. I'm keeping this. The Kosas Cloud Set. It's also in a shade Breezy, but I use it as if it were just a setting powder. Keeping this. This is my favorite. This Becca Hydra Mist Set and Refresh. I haven't had this for very long in my collection, and I've actually been getting some pretty good use out of it, so I'm going to keep this. The NARS Translucent Crystal. This is actually brand new, like I've never used it, so I'm going to keep this. And then It Cosmetic Bye Bye Pores. This is so old. I can't remember, is this one of the ones where you couldn't ever pick up anything when you swatched it to begin with? I can't really remember. I'm pretty sure that I got this in a Beautylish Lucky Bag. It's kind of hard panned in spots, so I'm actually going to get rid of this. The Laura Mercier Translucent Setting Powder. I know that this is pretty old, but I've still been getting some good use out of it, and I haven't noticed any like bad reactions to it, so I'm actually going to keep this as well. Oh my gosh, Rimmel, the Stay Matte. I feel like this also had quite a hold on people for a while, but I never reach for this anymore, and I have other powders that I like better, so I'm actually going to get rid of this. Let's move on to brightening ones. So these, actually this isn't a brightening one, it's that Becca Hydra Mist, but I got it in the shade Golden Bronze. It was like on sale somewhere. Have I even used this? Oh. I think I like thought that I would use it as like a bronzer, but that's not even really that good of a bronzer shade for me. So I'm going to get rid of this. Laura Mercier, this is the Secret Brightening Powder. I feel like this also had quite a hold on everyone. I still use this from time to time, so I'm going to keep this. The Well People Bio-Based Baked Brightener. I haven't had this for very long, so I'm going to keep it and just try to make a point of using it. And the e.l.f. Halo Glow. They call this a setting powder, but it does kind of provide a luminosity, so that's the reason why I keep it under my brightening powder category. But I haven't had this for very long, so I'm also going to keep this. Actually, let's just move on to the powder foundations because I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna get rid of almost all of them. Okay, so I have two of these Fit Cover ones in the shades Naked and Embrace. Basically, it's face makeup that's meant to be worn while you're at the gym, and it's supposed to like not clog your pores or anything when you sweat, and it's supposed to be like waterproof and everything. Anyways, so I got these two shades. This one is like way too dark and orange for me, and this one I think just like wasn't a great shade. They're also quite full cover, but as I've gotten older, my skin just sort of gets drier and drier, so I have no use for this. I haven't used it in quite a while, so because of that I'm going to get rid of these. Tarte, oh my goodness, the Amazonian Clay Full Coverage Airbrush Foundation. This also was like all the rage at one point. I think it was one of the first times that powders were coming with like these net things. Oh my goodness, I don't even know if that was its original color or if maybe it's just gotten darker as it's gotten older, but that is like not even remotely close to the correct shade for my face. It's in light beige, light skin with pink undertones. This is hella old, so I'm going to declutter this. Laura Geller. Okay, there was a time when I strictly wore powder foundation, and actually it started with Bare Minerals, which I guess I'll throw these in here too. Bare Minerals is the very first makeup that I ever wore starting in high school. It was always the original. This was like my ride or die, but thinking back, I don't know that I ever actually found a shade that matched me. It was before I really knew to look at shade descriptions or like undertones, or before I even knew what undertones my face was. When's the last time that I even bought this? Oh my gosh, these might even be from 2013. So I have the original in Fairly Medium and the matte and fair. I think I probably used, these are about like halfway empty. I never reach for powder foundations anymore, and these are so old, so the Bare Minerals I'm going to get rid of. At some point while I was using Bare Minerals, I found Laura Geller, and actually Terra Babies on YouTube is maybe where I learned about these from. The Balance and Brighten Foundation in the shades Porcelain and Fair. I've gone through several of these, so I kind of thought I was going to declutter both of these, but I think I might hang on to the Porcelain one. I know that this one is newer of some of the things that I have. I might keep this and use it more as like a powder to set where I need coverage, I'm going to hang on to this one for a little bit. But the fair shade, the one that's darker, I'm going to get rid of because it's just too dark for my skin right now. Alright, and all of these, they're the Balance and Highlight. All three of these I'm going to declutter. Physicians Formula Mineral Wear 2DD. Man, this also, I think I started using this maybe also in high school. Maybe it was before I found Bare Minerals. I don't ever use this. I think this particular shade is also too dark for me, so I'm going to declutter this. Laura Mercier Mineral Powder. I feel like this also was a cult favorite. Maybe I just paid attention to it because it was at a time when I was wearing powder foundation. But these are so old. Neither one is really the correct shade for me. I have the shades Real Sand and Natural Beige. I think when I did use these, I ended up having to mix them. And even then, it wasn't the correct shade. So I'm going to say so long. Next category, tinted powder that I would use as a setting powder. So, NARS Soft Velvet Loose Powder in the shade Eden. It might be a little yellow, but sometimes I don't mind that, so I'm going to hold on to this. MAC Mineralized Skin Finish. I have the shades Light and Light Plus. I've probably said this before, but I don't mind holding on to things for longer than their expiration date, especially powders. Light Plus, I think, is maybe just too dark, so I'm going to declutter the Light Plus, but I'm going to hold on to the shade Light for now and see if I reach for it at all. This is safe for now. Burberry. Okay, anyways. The shade Trench 02. I love the smell of Burberry powders. They are very much like sweet tarts. I might just try to use this. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it for now. Chanel. This is the Le Beige Healthy Glow Sheer color, the shade N20. That is straight up orange. Goodbye, Chanel. So long, farewell. Alright. Okay. ColourPop Pretty Fresh in Fair 1. I still use this from time to time. I just used it the other day and it's fairly new, so I'm going to keep that. This isn't really fairly new. It's kind of fairly new to me, but I've enjoyed using it. This is the shade Light 1, so I'm going to keep this. Can you even tell what this is? The writing is worn off, but the packaging is pretty telltale of Burt's Bees. I think this is the second one that I had gone through. It's the mattifying. It's a powder foundation, but I used it as powder, but in the shade Vanilla. I feel like I quite liked this. Do I even want to try to use the rest of that? I kind of like the idea of just finishing this. I'm going to keep it. Two more powder foundations. The Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless. I'm going to hang on to this for now. Same with the L'Oreal Infallible. This is the shade 10 Porcelain. The Stay Matte, this one is in the shade 003 Natural. I think I'm also going to say goodbye to this one. I just don't ever reach for it. Last category, finishing powders. Hourglass. Wow. I remember when these first came out and I was like, oh my goodness, I have to have them all. This one is actually the Ambient, the Infinity powder. So it's like kind of highlightery, but so this one is like newer than all of these others. I feel like on some of these I've made pretty good dent. So these three are obviously the ones that I use the most. So ethereal light, dim light, and mood light. Let's be honest, I'm basically just going to keep these all, but I like to remind myself that at one point I was using these pretty regularly, enough to hit pan. So these, and I also have luminous light and diffused light. Luminous is kind of borderline highlighter. I guess all of them are meant to, they're not necessarily meant to highlight in a sparkly way, but just provide light. Oh my gosh, they're called ambient lighting powders, of course. Okay, anyways, so I'm going to keep all of these and continue to use them. And then I also have this, I don't know that it, well, it doesn't really have a name other than ambient lighting palette, but it has dim light, incandescent light, and radiant light. This one, which one is that? Radiant light. That is sort of more of a bronzery color on me. Anyways, I'm going to keep this. And then this one I'm going to keep because I haven't really used it at all. And it's fairly new. So, yeah, I'm just keeping all of the hourglass. And then Guerlain. The meteorites into Claire. I feel like these were also pretty cult-like for a while. These also kind of have a sweet tart smell, kind of like the Burberry. If anything, I'm just going to keep this because I like the packaging and it's just sort of nostalgic. I'm going to keep this. Alright, so these are all the ones that I'm keeping, which I think that's not too bad. And then these are all the ones that I am decluttering. Thank you all for watching. If you made it this far, I think I've discovered that I maybe like decluttering, if only just because I get to see all the stuff that I had, and maybe I can start using something again that I forgot about. If you've made it this far, I hope that you will consider subscribing, like, comment, do all the things, you know, if you want to. That'd be cool. If not, whatever. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.